now, lead NSFAS has received an unqualified audit from the Auditor General of South Africa. Now, this is a significant achievement and a step in the right direction for the public entity. Ernest Khosa, the NSFAS board chairperson, joins us now in studio to speak about the audit. A very good morning, Ernest. Such a pleasure to have you in studio this morning.
Very good morning to you, Buthe, and the viewers. Indeed, a very significant achievement, given where we were beginning of this year. By the way, we are only in office for about 8 months or so. When we commenced, we were a scorn of the nation, bad publicity, and one of the reasons was the negative audit results that we got from the Auditor General. So we elated, we're happy that within 7 months we're able to turn the situation around. And if you ask me, I feel like doing a naide walk, you know. Naide walk.
And indeed, it is a good morning for you and your office. As you mentioned, yes. It's only almost 8 months into
yes. You know, experts had warned us it's going to take two years, you know, to turn the situation around. We're happy that within 7 months we're able to do so.
But how much of it is turning it around? Of course, an unqualified audit is great, especially for such an important entity in the South African sphere. But I would imagine there's still a lot of work to be done.
Lots of work to be done, but this is significant for a number of reasons. The first one is NSFAS is essentially, for all intents and purposes, a financial institution. And if a financial institution is not able to demonstrate that it can manage its funds, then it cannot be respected anywhere else. And that was the situation when we started. So this is very, very, very significant. The fact that we can now stand up and say we can at least run our funds, the Auditor General has given us such a positive result. We're able to go to the market, to the private sector, to other funders, to all other stakeholders and say the problem of higher education funding in this country does not only belong to NSFAS. It's our elephant. It belongs to all of us. You can't do that if you have not managed to deal with this first hurdle. It's very significant.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Talk to me about the contrast then in what you found when you walked into the position to where it is at the moment. You speak, when you opened the interview, you spoke about the embattlements, the troubles that have plagued NSFAS, historically speaking. So when you walked in, you knew that you had a big elephant standing in front of you. Talk to me about it from then to now.
Yeah, from a policy perspective, when we landed, we found that the policies that were there at NSFAS were not in tandem with the expectations of students. Policies such as the eligibility criteria, policies such as who to fund and not who to fund. For example, up to now we don't fund postgraduate diplomas. Policies such as disability. So we had to deal with that. The first challenge that we had to deal with was policies, and we started engaging stakeholders, and our major stakeholder is the student himself. We are now on a road show talking to universities. Our focus is historically disadvantaged universities because that's where the pain is. So we're changing policies to make sure that they are in tandem with the expectations of the students and to respond to the challenges that they are facing. But at another level, when we landed, we found that there was a bad stakeholders relations between NSFAS and relevant stakeholders, the AG, the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education. I am glad that we were able to develop a much more better relationship with all stakeholders.
Absolutely.
We also had a big difficulty with an organization that was not fit for purpose. I'm glad to say we're now in the process of concluding the appointment of top managers to support a very, very, very able CEO, Mr. Andile Nongogo, who is responsible for these good results is the CA is very young and is very passionate about compliance. He doesn't do politics.
I mean, an unqualified audit then would be good for your stakeholders, especially the students.
Yes.
How does this trickle down to the students, to the funding? We know that funding was reopened about 3 weeks ago for students that were studying within 2021, within the calendar year, that weren't funded. So that process got underway again. But how does this impact the students positively, especially going forward?
Well, it impacts on the students in that we now have a leg to stand on to talk to the shareholder. The shareholder will have increased confidence in the entity. And when we go and talk to them about more funding, the shareholder is likely to, not that they were not supportive. We've got a very supportive Minister of Education in Dr. Blade Ziman, who is very responsive, available and approachable when it comes to matters that have got to do with NSFAS. So that we have got this kind of audit gives us a better impetus even to present our case to the shareholder, and this will eventually impact on the students. Now, you are raising a question about the fact that we opened more applications. Yes, we did, and the reason why we did that is we realized that there are so many students who were at universities who had not applied for various reasons. Sometimes we just assume that people who live in the deep rural areas have got internet connectivity or they know about us. We realized that's not the case, and we took a calculated risk to open for applications, and we're very glad we even got support from the Minister of Higher Education. And as it stands, about 20,000 more students are going to be funded this year.
I mean, that's obviously bodes well for the country as well, and the economy. So will this lead to more students being funded next year as well? Will this also perhaps lead to the funding criteria being loosened a bit? Because we know that there are students who sit just outside of the criteria but can't still afford to go to varsity.
We're hoping there'll be some policy changes. We're making some recommendations to government so that we've got better accessibility to higher education funding. But this is what we project about next year, Butle. The impact of COVID is such that we'll have more applications, and we had a taste of it in this financial year when we had to go around looking for an extra 6 billion for funding. You remember what happened with the protest this year. And one of the reasons was that we didn't have the money at that time, and we couldn't commit before we're sure we're going to get the money. So we project that we'll have more and more applications next year, and we hope to be more ready this time.
I mean, when NSFAS in 2018 was placed under administration, so we know the troubles are deep within the organization. Just talk to us a little bit about that turnaround plan, if I can call it that. Of course, you have a strategy, I'm assuming. Just talk to us how you're planning on executing that.
Yes. Talking about 2018, NSFAS had a budget of about 18 billion. That was 2018. As it stands now, it has got a budget of about 42 billion. Now, that talks to the amount of growth, that the entity has experienced. So we cannot continue managing NSFAS in the same old way. And that talks to what you're talking about, a new strategy to deal with this. And the first thing that's very important to run an entity like that is to ensure that you have got a good CEO and good management, a good board that understands the difference between interference and intervening, a supportive shareholder, and as I indicated earlier on, we have that. So one of the most difficult issues that we're dealing with at NSFAS, it's data reliability, so IT-related matters. So other than a good human resources strategy that we're developing, a good stakeholder strategy, we've got a digital strategy that will deal with matters related to payment systems, data reliability, and so forth. So we are hard at work. We're hard at work, and we've got a very good board.
I mean, we know payment systems have always been a very sore topic for NSFAS.
It has been. It has been. We'll deal with that.
Absolutely. Let's end it there. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We're just about to do a 9 walk. So thank you. Thank you so much, Bunde.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you.